If you get a tool, use a tool. Don't be a tool like I am. Alright folks, welcome back to Bones Backyard Homestead. This might be the series that you guys have all been waiting for. On this series, it's going to be a three-parter. We're going to preserve, can, pickle, however you want to say it. I'm going to go with preserving because I think that's the best way. Maybe canning, who knows. We're going to do peaches, pears, and plums. In that order, peaches, pears, and plums. All right, so on this first episode, I'm gonna take my shamefully bought 8 pounds worth of store-bought peaches, and we are going to preserve them, or well, let's just say we're gonna can them. We're gonna jar up we're gonna jar up some sliced peaches. We're gonna put them in some mason jars. Now I found tons and tons of recipes on how to do this, and I'm looking for the simplest way to do it because I've never done it before, and I want something that's gonna work, it's gonna be easy to duplicate, and it's easy to pass on to you. So the very first thing that we got to do is actually peel these peaches. So I got my canning pot working on a boil. As soon as that starts boiling, then we're going to start working on peeling them. I have an interesting twist on canning these peaches, so make sure you stay tuned. This to a rolling boil, and in my previous videos I said that the cooktop will not get this big of a canning pot to a rolling boil. I figured out the trick. I put the lid on it, it traps that heat in there and actually does get this thing to a rolling boil. Right down here I got a bowl of, dogs are playing, I got a bowl of ice water. Now the recipe that I saw actually called for lemon, but I only have lime, so the purpose of the lime or the lemon is to try to keep the peach color in it. So like you see some recipes call for like a sulfuric acid or however you say it. That just sounds horrible to me. I don't want to put acid in my or put my food in acid besides natural acid. I don't know. So now we're going to take these we're going to let that sit in the boiling water for a minute. For the next step, we're going to do 3 things actually. We're going to do 3 steps in one. In the canning jar, or in the canning pot, we're going to start sterilizing some jars. I'm gonna say maybe 4 jars. That's kind of what I'm aiming for. In this pot, I have 6 cups of water, and I'm about to add my secret sauce that I was telling you guys about. My little twist on this, well, not mine because I found it online, but the surprise twist. we're going to be using a locally sourced honey. Okay, now the easiest way to remember this, like I said, this recipe is fairly easy. For every 2 cups of water, 1 cup of honey. So I got 6 cups of sugar, 6 cups of water. I'm gonna need 3 cups of honey. Now with the peaches, I'm going to take them and hopefully you can separate them from the pit just like that. And you got to decide how you want it. You want half peaches? I'm going to go ahead and do quarters. So those are going to go right in there. Just like that. Okay, so it's actually looking like I have more peaches than I can fit in my pot here. So we're just going to set those aside for now. So we're going to want to let this cook down for a little bit, not too long. Alright, so just a quick lesson, because honestly, I didn't even know. When your recipe calls for 1/2 inch of headspace, don't be the idiot like me that thought the headspace was how much room, how much water is above the jar while it's processing. The headspace is actually how much stuff you put in the jar. So the kit I got actually came with one of these fancy little tools. And the first tab is 1/4, the second is 1/2, 3/4 and 1 inch. So whatever the recipe says, if it says you need 1/4 or 1/2 inch of headspace, you need to make sure that you're not going above that, even with the juices, because that's where, from what I understand, that's where the process happens, and it has room to expand and stuff without blowing completely over. So if you get a tool, use a tool. Don't be a tool like I was. So we're going to start off, take some of these peaches off. That way we can keep going and add more. As you can see, I'm not trying to get any of the juices right now. Just gently grabbing these peaches and adding them in here. Fill them. We're just going to use the same broth, the same brine. I've been told that we gotta be careful with these bubbles, but with this honey, I don't know, it's gonna be kind of hard to get all these bubbles out. So it might be that whole half-inch Headspace that might help me out with these bubbles. Well, that's about the best I can do for now. Before we add the lids and the rings, let's wipe off that lid because I guarantee we got some syrup on there. I can see bubbles on there, I can see syrup on there. Just clean it up, make sure you got a nice good seal. There we go. I try to grab these with the lid and the ring. Try and get that lid where you want it. Put a little pressure on it. Finger tight. Now, 1 quart jar, 25 minutes in the pot. And there we go. Now that is going to go for 25 minutes. Then we're going to pull them out, set them on the counter overnight. Alright folks, so it's the next day and we got our jars of peaches. They have all sealed. So before I store them, I'm going to take the rings off. And that's just to make sure that they actually are really sealed and I don't have a false seal. And if anything did happen to come out and get underneath the ring, at least I'm not going to have food just like molding or whatever. So stay tuned to the next episode. We're going to be canning some pears. We'll see you on the next one.